This is going to be video 2 of 2 in creating a schedule. I am going to go ahead and go through the initial steps of setting up the folder real quick. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive. I'm going to go into shared with me. I'm going to go asynchronous share to everybody. And go clients, new client, new folder, and we'll call this guy. Shit. New folder. Call this guy Bunny again. Okay, so we've created this folder. Let's get out of the screen. Let's go back into shared with everybody. We're going to go into base schedules. I'm going to try to make this quick, so let's just pull a four zone base schedule out. Okay, first thing that we're going to do is we covered the other one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save as. We're going to browse this device. We're going to go. It is going to go into this file just to make it quick. All our Excel files again are going to go into here. So just to make this quick, I'm going to go ahead and keep it here. And we're going to call this, and this would be the address. So let's just go ahead and say this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Rabbit Hole Drive. We said we're going to say watering schedule. Okay, that's all done. We hit the save button. Okay. Okay, we want to confirm up here at the top that we've saved it, closed. Now we're going to go ahead and start dealing with our schedule. And then again, the way I made this schedule, guys, you only have to type in two spots in here. So you have to type in their address. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Rabbit Hole Drive. So this is going to come in from the pull-down menu. Last number of the address is 4. You got pull-down menus on your city, and then you've got to put in your zip code. And I probably gone ahead and I could have made that. Put a selection list for zip codes, and then once we entered the zip code, it would auto-fill the city, but I ran out of time on this. Okay, notice I'm typing in this formula. Whenever I have to input something, I'm typing in this formula bar in here. I select the formula bar, and then when I'm done, I hit the little check mark, and then that's how I get the text in for the two places I have to type, the address and the zip code. Over the winter next year, I'll change this to an if-then formula to where we enter in the zip code and it automatically fills out the city, and then we'll have this coming from a pull-down menu, but that's not here right now. Does the system have any non-drip zones? Non-drip zones are what we're going to go ahead and we're calling rotors, sprays, and rotators. So most all of them do, so yes. Does the system have any non-drip zones? I'm also going to say yes on this since this is for example purposes, but basically what you're doing here is as you go through these selection boxes, what it's doing is it's going ahead and creating your input sheet so it's simpler to go ahead and to fill out. So you don't have to look at all this stuff and you can get through it quickly. You know, for example, all this box right here, this is all for custom start times, and I'm going to explain that later. But let's just go ahead and pretend that I don't need any custom start times. So I'd come over here, I'd hit this, I'd select no, and then all that disappears. So all this is doing is just making it's making it nice and easy to go ahead and to fill out your forms. Is this a basic schedule or an enhanced schedule? The two differences between basic and enhanced is whether or not we're going to go ahead and we're going to be generating the monthly water bill for this particular water schedule. So in this particular case, and then again, if I hit basic, and then I scroll down here where I start after entering in all my zone locations, you can see that I don't have a block anymore to put in gallons per minute. but this is going to be enhanced. So yes, it's enhanced. We are going to calculate this guy's water bill. And then here we have our cubic feet per minute, and we have our GPM, and that goes ahead and shows up now. So, you know, and then again, if I was doing basic, you know, my next question is there a water meter? So, you know, obviously if I'm just doing a basic one, then I don't even have to type, and the water meter is based upon the billing account. So obviously if I was doing a basic schedule, then I don't even need this. So it's just, it's basically, the thing is, you fill out this questionnaire and it goes ahead and sets your form up to where you've only got the stuff that you only have the fields available for that you need to go ahead and to fill out. So the different types of billing accounts. Okay, we've covered this in another video, but we have a residential water and sewer, residential water only, irrigation only, and general class. You know, most commercial properties, they have a separate irrigation only meter. These things here, it's kind of hard to read the way how much space you've got here. So let's just say I want residential water and sewer, but I accidentally hit that button there, and so now you can see it says residential water. That's wrong. So it's kind of hard to read the abbreviated lines in the pull-down menus, but if you make a mistake, just go back and change it. Is the meter in gallons or cubic feet? Most meters are always going to be in cubic feet. And then again, when I select this, what's happened here, even though it's enhanced, so now I only have a space for cubic feet per minute. The gallons per minute is gone. And then also, just keep in mind that you can only enter totals in either in one or two places. Let's just say I hit gallons and then I accidentally put a total in gallons and then I switch it back over to cubic feet. The way this program works is it's going to default to gallons, so you can't screw up. So if you selected gallons accidentally, you started putting in gallons, you need to change it. You need to go back and make sure that you delete gallons if it is in fact cubic feet. Basically it's if you have two choices, you can go ahead and you can set your and you can set something up to where, you know, if this wins. So basically, if there's a total in gallons, gallons wins over cubic feet. If gallons is 0, then cubic feet wins. So just it's just important to kind of get this right here the first time, and then don't enter stuff in the wrong spaces. Okay, I'm getting hoarse from these videos. Is there other water coming off this water meter? Right now, we're going to be using no on this all the time, and the only reason that we built this in is because maybe these cost analysis reports aren't as accurate as they could be. Maybe we need to take into account a swimming pool. Maybe we need to take into account a fountain or something like that. So we could go ahead and we could hit yes, and we could go ahead and select additional water coming off this meter, and there's a field for that. So if I said yes, you know, right down here it's going to say other water coming off, and then I could put in my other amount of gallons that I wanted to put in. You know, maybe a swimming pool goes ahead and uses 2,000 gallons a month. But right now, I don't know that we need to do that, so that's just going to be simply a no. Okay, and then do you need special purpose start times? I'm going to keep most of the time, we're just going to say no on this, but for the purpose of for this water schedule, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, just so you can see what it does. So now we're down here, and we've got this is where it's going to go ahead and take a little bit of intuition on your part. Okay, so again, like we covered in the overview video, we are always building our schedule right here for when we are not in watering restrictions. I mean, the computer's already gone ahead and generated the water schedule for when we are in stage 1 and stage 2. So we're just building this for when we're not in watering restrictions. So number of start times, so number of days per week. So for most non-drip stuff, you can go ahead and you can get by with 2 days per week. That's really the best. In some cases, you could go ahead and select 3 days there. I prefer 2. That's why I've said enter 2. Number of start times. This is where you're going to go ahead and take into account the property's slope. Okay, if you're you're always, no matter even if you're as flat as can be, you're always going to go ahead and put in 2 start times. Okay, but maybe you've got a little bit more slope. You can put in 3 start times, and then you can go ahead and you can put in 4 start times. And then you'll notice even our custom start times are already going ahead and they're taking into account, you know, let's just say we're going to do 3 start times, but we don't want the ones the computers are going to kick out. We got to make our own custom start times. Then this guy's already highlighting for you, already hiding stuff that you don't have to. So there's 4, you know, there's 1, you know, so this guy's hiding everything here for you. Okay, most systems I'm going to just say enter 2 if you're flat. If you've got a lot of slope, then you know you can go ahead and you can go up to 4 on that. Okay, 2 is kind of your major selection there. Number of days per week. Number of days per week for drip. Okay, I know this says enter 2 right here, but that should say enter 3. 3 is going to be my preferred number of days for drip, just because the run times are so long. And then again, like I covered in the overview video, drip takes a while to go ahead and to catch up. So if drip's gone ahead and dried out and you run drip, you know, by the time that little wet spot starts getting down to the root zone, you know, you're playing a catch up. You're playing a catch up to get water to that root ball, and it's just not going to work. So this should say enter 2, 3 is the preferred, and then again the number of start times per day for drip. Go ahead and do 2. And then let's also just review here real quick. So how many cycles did I create for non-drip? A cycle is just how many times it goes ahead and runs. It starts and it goes ahead and runs through for the week. So we have 2 start times, and we have 2 days per week. So we have 4 cycles on here. And then we have 4 cycles per week is what we would say. And then over here we have 2 start times, and then over here we have 3 days per week. So we have 6 cycles per week. That's just terminology. That doesn't have anything to do with making a schedule. It's just terminology you should know. Okay, so we said this is going to be enhanced. What's my meter size? If you're building one of these, you need to check. You know, the other day I was telling River was doing one over the phone, and I was telling River, hey, you know, it's going to be 5/8. They're always 5/8. And then, you know, he looked in the meter box and he says, yeah, Dad, it's 3/4. And people love to go ahead and tell me when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. So it could have been, you need to check your meter size and make sure it's 5/8 and 3/4. It doesn't really throw the bill off that much between 5/8 and 3/4. But the thing is where these schedules, these water cost analysis are only going to be accurate within a certain percentage anyway. So, I mean, there's going to be variances. So we want to really try to get it as close as possible, even if it is throwing it off by a few dollars a month. I mean, if your schedules, you're not putting in the right data and it's skewing the numbers, you know, a few dollars here, and then you take into account your plus or minus percentage of accuracy, then you're going to become even less accurate. Most everything that SAAS does is going to be inside San Antonio city limits. Even Wright's water bill is inside San Antonio limits over in Helotes. So for right now, I'm going to tell everybody just to go ahead and enter everybody inside San Antonio. I don't understand how SAAS is classifying what's inside the city limits and what's not. And there's no map for me to go ahead and reference on that. And I was surprised that Wright's water account was classified as inside the city. Number of people of household, if nobody's here, if nobody's at home, go ahead and select 4. But it is a good idea to go ahead and to ask the customer if they're paying for this, how many people are in the household. You know, think about Chuck Chase up there in Emerald Forest, okay? Their water bill with that size yard right there, you know, 2 people will really throw off their numbers. So if nobody's home and you're just doing this, or if you're doing this for a property that's getting ready to get sold and you have no idea, you know, enter 4. The average family size is 4 in America. But if there's a lot of people in that house, it really changes the water bill, especially if you're dealing with a large household and a large system. You know, perhaps they have 6 people living in that house. So you kind of want to ask when you're doing this if you want to give them accurate data. And if you don't generate accurate data, then you're honestly wasting your time even trying to do this for the customer. So, you know, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and knock on the door and say, hey, I'm calculating your water schedule. We calculate the water cost. One of the variables we take into account is how many people are in your household. So, you know, how many people are in your household? Oh, thanks. Okay, that's all I needed. Okay, impervious cover. This is a field that's on your water in this input sheet, and it's also on your water bill. This is how much impervious cover that there is. And when I say impervious cover, it means the roof, the driveway, the sidewalks you've put in, and then, you know, so the mentality is, from SAAS standpoint, because SAAS maintains our storm sewers as well in San Antonio. So the mentality is the more impervious cover you have, then the more you should be allocated to pay for the San Antonio storm drain water infrastructure. SAAS has me classified on my personal water bill as a tier 3, greater than 42,200 square foot. So basically, if it's a small, tiny little one-story house or small little house, put tier 2. If it's a little bit bigger, put tier 3. And those are the only selections you've got. If you do not select something in here, this is not going to calculate out your water bill. So if you select NA here for some reason, it's I don't believe it's going to calculate your water bill. Okay, that's something that's hidden. Okay. We all know what this is. The perspective is, what is the perspective? Perspective is facing front most of the time for us. When I select this right here, what it's doing is it's going ahead and it's giving me my selections right in here, okay? You know, back, left, front, right. And then if I switch to compass-based, it's going to go ahead and give me my north, south, east, and west. And then and then over here, okay, so I can do northwest, north, southeast. That's about as much as you can do. And then just a cool trick, you could also, since you could go to compass based, and you could go north, west, then you could come back up here if you wanted to, if you needed to, and you could switch it back to facing front, and then it opens up, so it opens up my other tab. So I could do north, front, corner. So you normally won't ever have to do that, but just so you know, you can switch back and forth between facing front of property or compass base, and it'll change your fields. So you know, north, front, side. I guess that's fine for now. Again, this is the only other place that you have to, if you have to type, you have to go ahead. You literally have to go ahead and type additional location. You know, this is where we would say something over here like I like all caps. By fountain. Okay, so that's the only other place you have to type. Honestly, it's really quite easy to go ahead and type in this. Okay, that explains this location right here. This is your adjustment factor right here. And we talked about this in the beginning video, and I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate. Small properties, 6, 7 zones, water bill's not a big deal. You know, give them a 0.7. You got a big property out there in Iron Horse Canyon. Part of the reason why you were called out there is because they're dealing with high water bills. They don't realize that the water this much land is just going to cost this much money. You know, give them a 0.6. Or if we're literally dedicated to this customer, or we're been hired by this customer just to go ahead and take into account his water bill, then this would be one of the places where we come back to this adjustment factor. And we're in fact going to do that in this presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the rest of this. Okay, so sprays, it's a very common one. Area, what are my selections? I've got turf, beds, both, trees, and NA, okay? So I hit turf. You know, my crop coefficient for turf is always going to be a 0.6, like I said. This description's fine. This is that KMC, that microclimate thing. Let's just say he's full sun. And then my cubic feet per minute, you know, most, you know, they're normally typically sized right around 12 gallons a minute on 5/8 meters. So 1.7 is going to be, it's going to be 7, it's going to be close to 10 right around there. Okay, this little number that's pulling up right here, this is just going ahead and letting me, it's just kicking out my KMC, my microclimate coefficient. That really almost doesn't even need to be there, but for some reason it is. Okay, so this is completely filled out. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say this one's rotors. Let's also say this is turf. The only crop coefficient you have for all turf is 0.6, so that makes that really easy. Location, this is going to be front. Let's just say I'm going around the front. Let's say I'm going around the house. Front right, side. And if I don't have, now I've got quite a few descriptors in here. You know, apron, building, center, corner, door, driveway, entryway, fence, house, island, middle, NA, patio, planters, pool, shed, side strip, street, strip. Okay, if I don't have it, then type it. Okay, if it's something that we're having to type over and over and over, then let me know and we'll add it next year. So front right, let's just say this is a side right here. Okay, and if I needed to do additional location, I could. Let's get into some CF. Let's get our CFM here. Let's just say this is a really big zone. He's kicking out 2 gallons per minute. Let's and then this guy's in. It's in between the houses. It's on the side, so he's only got part sun right there. Now let's go ahead and let's go into some. Let's do a drip zone. Let's do a drip emitters. The area. This is going to be beds. And then now, since I chose beds, look at my choices for my crop coefficient, and I've already explained these. 0.8 is going to be for high water use plants. This could be split leaf philodendron, stuff that's tropical. Poinsettias, all big broadleaf type plants, or annuals. If it's the front entryway of an HOA, you would use a 0.8. Most all your shrubs, your boxwoods, your boxwoods and shrubs and viburnum and Texas sage, and Nandinas and all that, that's going to be a 0.5. If you've just got maybe some, there's xeriscapes, and you've got some yuccas or some corn plants or what's that purple? Mountain laurels. You got mountain laurels. Just if you never watered it again, you could go ahead and you can use a low coefficient factor there. So that's your choices for beds. Now look, let's take a look. What happens if I hit both? It's one of those zones. It's one of those zones that's on where you got both turf and drip. Well, you got to pick the coefficient for the turf. I mean, the turf is going to be your higher priority. And actually, I should have selections right here for 0.6 and 0.8, but I don't. So it's just 0.6. I'll put that on the checklist of things to change next year as well too. So if it's both, you only have a selection of 0.6. Just because the grass typically has a higher water requirement than beds. Very seldom are you going to use beds and use a 0.8. I mean, you literally got to be dealing with annuals and flowers. I mean, you're almost always going to be a 0.5 on the KC on beds. So just FYI, the 0.8 is, how often do you have a customer that's got flats of annuals and stuff like that. So let's go back. Let's keep this at beds right here. Location. Let's just say this is the front left. I don't know, driveway. Where's driveway? Front left of driveway. Okay. Let's get some drips. Normally got low CFM. Let's go into 0.7. And then let's go ahead and select full sun. Okay. Let's do our last zone. Let's make this let's look at some of the other ones here. Okay, so rotors and rotators, I really don't think I need to go into that. Really, there's nothing to go in with drip emitters either. Bubblers is something I could go into. Bubblers, you could have a tree zone on bubblers, 0.3. You've only got a coefficient for 0.3. It's the only thing you need to put in there for bubblers for trees. I mean, in all honesty, bubblers for trees, they're really only utilized during the first few years of that tree's service. So this ultimately, what this does is this would kick out like 5 minute or 10 minute a week run times is what these bubblers are going to kick out. If you wanted to turn a zone off, I mean, you could just leave a zone off. If they wanted to save money, you're just going to have a zero. Keep all this zero, and you could just go ahead and you could have a zone off, or if you've got two zones wired together, you could skip it, and then over here an additional location or additional information, you could say wired into zone 3. So there's or you can just completely leave it blank there and hit that blank spot. So you can really build this to be anything you want, is the way it was set up. But let's go back. Let's say, what would we say this one was going to be? Let's keep this one as, let's say this is drip excess sprays. Let's just say this is beds. And excess sprays we normally do put on those high annuals, on those high flower colors annuals. And then we're going to say, we'll call this one the right side of the driveway. Right. Unfortunately, I don't think I put this on alphabetical. Right side of driveway. And then my cubic feet per minute, let's just say it's not very much. Okay, 0.3. Okay, now I'm done. I'm completely done here. So what I'm going to do is, before I go ahead and I print anything, or I start sending this out to a customer, or I do anything with this whatsoever, what I'm going to do is I like to come over here to one of these two straight, one of these two tabs with just the schedule. Okay, either one, it doesn't really matter. But what I want to do is I just want to do an overview. If I could look at my schedule and go into my irrigation document. This is the one we email out. The problem is I've got to scroll down to 20 pages till I get to the very bottom of the schedule. And actually, I've lost where I'm actually moving my finger around. I've lost where the guy even went. There he is. So I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I could scroll over to this point right here. So I'm just going to tell you, it's just easier to go ahead and select one of these, and then come over here. And what you're going to do is you're going to check your schedule to make sure your schedule is ready to be printed before you send it out. And the best way to check this is right here. You want to make sure that you don't have any zeros in this area right here. If you have any zeros in here, then you've made a mistake. And I actually made this mistake on purpose just to illustrate. Okay, so I've got 0 runtime right here on that last zone. That's my zone 4. So I need to go back over and I need to find out what I did on zone 4. Oh, and I forgot to put in my KMC. That's my problem. So you're going to be full sun. Okay, I'm going to go back over to one of my single sheet tabs. I'm just going to look this guy over, and then this all looks good. So at this point here, I would go over to my irrigation schedule document now, and then I would start turning this guy into a PDF as we discussed before. But while I'm here, I've got a few other things I want to go ahead and I want to show you. So I built my schedule. Now, this is a really small schedule, or a really small system. It's not very expensive. So what's their peak season water bill right here? Okay, well, their peak season water bill in the event that they don't get any rain is going to be $178, and here's $159. Sometimes you're looking at them and they've got a $600 water bill there. I've built a lot of them now where they're $600. So let's go. So the guy says, hey, look, $178. I can spend a little bit more. I want a little bit greener. Give me that 0.7. Well, that 0.7 just jumps his peak season water bill up to $192. And he says, yeah, you know what? I'm still good with that. I really love my plants. Give me a 0.8. That puts them up to $207. You could all go all the way up to a 1, and that puts them up to $243. But what's important to notice is the range, from 0.4, it drops us down to a 151, and we're getting close to that minimum bill for this guy. That 151, so that's 151 to 254 per month, annually over the course of the year. That's a lot of money. So it's really cool that you have this ability to be able to go ahead and to show this to your customer. So you may want to come back and say, hey, look, before I go ahead and print this and we set this thing in here, what are you comfortable? I can just tell you from my expert opinion that 0.6 is normal, and that really works for most folks. But it's a very tight, very water conservative schedule. But if you want to go a little bit more, you can go with the 0.7. It just depends on where you're comfortable at. And if you really want to show your customer even more, what you can do is you can go over here into your irrigation schedule document, and then you can go over here to your cost, and you can say, well, sir, here's your, this is your range right here, and this is what happens. And you can go back and forth between your adjustment factor and showing this guy his charts and getting in here in the nitty gritty and really showing him, hey, this is this right here. Your annual water costs, if you don't get any rain, this is going to be your annual water cost right here. Of course, this is all calculated based on winter off. And you can really give this guy, so here's and everything's already read out here too, so you don't lose track. So I put 4 people in this guy's house. I gave him adjusted factor of 0.7, and then here's his annual cost on his water bill. This is the increase in sewer because it's on during winter. I'm really losing my way around this thing. So anyway, you can go over to that. You can go over to that guy right there, and then let's just the other thing too. Just give you an idea here. So how accurate is, so 2 people in the household. What does that do? Well, that just dropped me down to 133 a month. Let's go back to 4. That's 192. That's literally 60. That's about $60 a month that you're adding per month on that because of the number of the people in the household. So you really want to be accurate here, and you want to take this into account. The last thing that I'm going to do in this training, that's enough for right now. The last thing I want to do in this last training video here is I want to show you these custom start times. Okay, so what happens? We go over into our irrigation. We go over into one of our schedules here, and what's happening is these are our custom start times. So these are the start times that the computer went ahead and already spit out for you. Okay, and we selected 2 start times. This was kind of important. We selected 2 start times. And we selected 2 days per week, right? But now look what the program did. The program automatically, since when you go into watering restrictions, you're forced down to 1 day a week. This program automatically spits out 4 start times for you. If the customer says why, it says, well, it's because cycle and soak. You don't want to get runoff. All of a sudden, you're going from 2 days a week, which you're only watering in the morning, watering at night each day. But here, if you try to go ahead and water in the morning and then water at night, and you're trying to put in the same amount of water into your system, you're really going to go ahead and you're going to start getting some runoff. Yeah, that's why these run times don't change. I'm always worried I've got an error in this thing somewhere. Okay, so anyway, so here's these. So the computer's automatically spitting out your start times for you for you or the customer to program into the controller. And then these are custom start times over here. Okay, let's go back to our input sheet, and let's say no, I do not want custom start times. Okay, so I don't want any custom start times. Let me go back over to my schedule again. What happened? All that shit just disappeared. It's back to start time 1, start time 2, start time 3, start time 4. So the computer's just going ahead and doing it. But This guy, he runs Ross, Dress for Less up there, and he says, man, I can't water at 7 in the morning. And I got customers walking in and out the door. You're going to set up for something else. Maybe you're turning this over to a maintenance mechanic. Maybe you just got a customer that wants his exact start times that he wants on his schedule. So you can hit yes, okay? And then, so yes, and then what's happening here, since we selected 2 start times up here, for the number of start times we wanted, we've only got 2 right here. And then what it's doing is this is feeding back the total cycle time, okay? So, let's go over to print. Let's go back over to our print schedule. What time for one cycle is 26 it's 26 minutes is how long one cycle takes, okay? So what it's doing is it's feeding back that math for you. Let me get back. It's feeding back that math for you to where you can calculate. So so if it was me and I'm going to do 2 and I'm going to do 1 in the evening, what I'm going to do here is, it's got to be outside my customer range. What I would do here is I would probably pick 11 p.m. for my second start time. I'm trying to keep customers dry in this case. So 11 p.m. So I know this thing's going to kick out at 11:30. This also lets me know if I'm still like within watering restrictions. And then he wants this thing to be done watering before 6 in the morning. I want it to be finished watering before 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning. Well, that's easy. 5:30. 5:30 for my first start time. That goes ahead and solves all that. I'm just moving this thing out of my way. That solves that. So that's why this is feeding back your custom cycle times. And I mean drip. I don't even know why there would be a need to have custom cycle times for drip. But just let's just say you get a weirdo. So 3 a.m. 3 a.m. You can even 3:30 a.m. Um, 4 a.m. And I'm not sure why this isn't why this start time 4. I'm not sure why these aren't disappearing. Okay, flaw in the system. Or flaw in something I missed or something. It's no big deal. It's just whether it shows up or doesn't show up or not. What I'm basically getting at is these. When I go to here, those things open up and close like that. And then these, I guess I didn't put in the same formatting. Or maybe I just assumed custom start times just don't matter for drip. I don't remember what my logic was, but I'll fix that over the winter too. It's not a big deal. Okay, so number of start times. So let's just say we did 3 on this. I said to go ahead and enter 3 on that, and then 3 days a week on that. Or I said 2 on this is what I said. I said 2 on this, 2 start times, and then 3 days per week. And then so actually this really can just go back to nothing. And to get nothing, you got to find the. Okay, I didn't build an empty. Okay, so let's go look at our print schedule now. And we'll look what happened with our start times. Okay, so for the one for this that's why it doesn't change. It's because we don't do custom start times for drip. Oh, now I get it. Yeah, I mean drip. You get custom start times for program A, but there's absolutely no reason to have custom start times for drip. It's underground. Okay, so that's why it doesn't do it. All right. And it's not even, anything I even put in there is not even showing up over here. So interesting. Okay, so here's our custom start. So here's what the computer went ahead and spit out, and our custom start times are 5:30 a.m. and 11 o'clock p.m. And then, oh, I know what the hell I did. Okay, all right, I remember now. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me just explain this real quick. I've just had a refresher of myself. Okay, so what, and it even says so right here. Okay, so we only do custom start times for non-drip. That's sprays and rotors. Okay, so if we're doing custom start times for our schedule when we're not in restrictions, then we would put our 2 start times in over here. Like I said, what happens is though, when we go into restrictions, this guy, no matter when we go into watering restrictions, this guy here, no matter what, changes into 4 start times. Okay. Just because you're trying to get in so much water per week and you're trying to get it all in one day. So the computer is automatically generating 4 start times for when we're in restrictions. Okay, and that's why we have these 2 slots down here. So here you've got to divide your water up, into one day. Okay, so again, the same guy. This works out great. The same guy says, "Hey, look, I want to be done." So I'm forcing this into one day. He says I want it to be done. So 11 o'clock p.m. still works. 11 o'clock p.m. would still work. It's a 30-minute cycle time. So let's do this at 10:30. Okay. 10:30 p.m. And then this all still works too. So 3 a.m., 3:30, 10:30, that would all work. So then we go over to our print schedule. We go over to our schedule, and then here we have, so here when we're doing 2 days per week, we have our custom start times at 5:30 in the morning. This is for non-drip. 5:30 in the morning, and then for 11 o'clock. And then for when we're in watering restrictions and when we're forced to go into one day in order to prevent runoff, we've created our 4 custom start times. We're hardly ever going to have to create custom start times, but the ability is there. And then if you think about this, the old ways we used to have to do that schedule, I mean, we were having to calculate this. We were coming up with these numbers out of our head and just putting them on there. So this is, believe it or not, this is just, it just really takes the guesswork out of this thing. And then the other thing you should go ahead and pay attention to is look at how these numbers are going ahead and changing based upon sun and shade and the factors I get. So you're really dialing in. You're really dialing in a good watering schedule, very efficient watering schedule for your customer. The other thing that's kind of important to go ahead and note too is notice, and this was always a check when I was building this, but notice down here the total hours per week. You're still running. This thing is still running. So whether you're running for 2 days per week, this guy is still going to run for an hour and 47 minutes per week. And then when we go into watering restrictions, it's still running for an hour and 47 minutes per week. Same with the drip there. And you just tell a customer, you just say, hey, going into watering restrictions doesn't mean that your landscape is all of a sudden going to go ahead and say, hey, we're in watering restrictions. Hey, Mr. St. Augustine blade of grass next to me, we need to start using less water. You know, your landscape's not going to do that. It still needs the same required weekly amount of water in the seasonal adjustment. So going into watering restrictions means that we have to go ahead and we have to find a way to get the required amount of water into your landscape as efficiently as possible in a single day. And this program is basically, and customers are going to love that. It's like, oh, okay, I'm still getting the same amount of water even though I go into restrictions, and you're telling me that I'm not kicking out alert. The alert would kick out right here. You're telling me I'm not kicking out alert right here, and I'm good to go no matter what with my property. And yes, ma'am, you are. You're good to go. Okay, so at this point right here, we would go ahead. I'm finished with my schedule. It looks good. At this point here, this is covered in the other video. Just what I would do is it auto saves, but I might want to make sure I hit save. I'm going to go back into my print. I'm going to make sure I got legal. I got landscape. I'm going to go ahead and hit my print document. I got to wait for this thing to go ahead and generate, like I said in the last video. Okay, the 90 seconds is up. It went ahead and generated my PDF. And I just went ahead and I realized that I did not have the right tab selected for the irrigation schedule document. I had one of the print schedules selected. So I just screwed up there. Before I convert it to PDF, I need to have irrigation schedule. This guy needs to be selected. It's not going to do it because I've got this thing on hold because he's trying to print still. Well, I think I lost my document, but I am going to go in and it auto-saved. So let's just say maybe you have this problem. Shared with me. Shared with everyone. This would have gone into Excel water schedule files, and then this is this one right here, modified 1:54 p.m. This was the one I was working on. It did autosave, so somehow I lost the guy. Then I want to select this tab. Okay, now I go up to File. I go up to Print. Make sure Legal Landscape. I hit the Print button. I'll come back in 90 seconds. Okay, so 90 seconds is up. Here's my printed document. It's all ready to go ahead and go to my customer. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to PDF on this. I've got my folder that's specialized for custom folders. I hit done. I right click on everything. I'm done with everything now. Done with this. Okay. Go back into my files. I'm going to my customer schedules. I get rabbit hole lane. Just want to make sure this is the right guy. Yeah, it is. It's got the custom start times on here. I share this back to my drive. I give a copy for the office so the office can keep a track of it. Save to drive. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's actually some faster ways to get back to some of these other folders. There's some faster ways to get back to some of these folders. And I'm kind of going the long way on purpose here to show you guys the steps. Clients. Where's Bunny? Bunny, Bunny, Bunny. There's Bunny. Select. Save. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna close this video up here. Again, if I'm gonna get this out to a customer, you've got to watch. You need to finish watching the other video. But I mean, I would go up into FSM. I'm gonna find that customer's client's names. I'm gonna select his email. His email is gonna open up my G app. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go get my can. I'm gonna select my can response up here, and then I'm going to put my can response in. I'm gonna type the subject line. I'm gonna type the name. And then I'm going to attach his water schedule, and I'm going to send it, and I'm going to send it and probably ask for a review, and I'm going to look like a total professional. Okay, so this is video 2 of 2, and this is the longest. I mean, the 1 of 2 and the 2 of 2 are the longest videos you have to watch. You should only have to watch them one time. I am going to make a short version of this. This video 2 of 2 is going to be me going through all the steps from beginning to end for a 4-zone system, and I'm not going to be talking about this or talking about this. I'll say a little bit more, and that's going to be your quick reference. So you've already got creating a water schedule, 1 of 2 quick reference. That's the one that's icon's got the race car on it. The full-length versions are going to have the little clocks on them, indicating they take some time to watch. So you will have a 2 of 2 on this, which will have the race car. So if you're in the field and you just need to get to the information quick. And honestly, guys, once you've done this, I've done a bunch of these now, but I can do it with my eyes closed. I mean, I can really whip them out really fast. And the thing is when you're standing at over a water meter and you've got your stopwatch, when you really get good at going from one app to the other, you can literally collect your GPM data and put it right into the app, right as you're going ahead and working it. And it's very quick and it's fast to go ahead and to do. Okay, that's the end of this video for this. That's the end of video 2 of 2. Long version, actually creating a water schedule.